Hello again. One of the things which always gives me pleasure is seeing words like racist or fascist thrown about as insults when it is clear that those using the terms have not the least idea what they mean by them. Part of the problem is with the word racist in particular that the meaning has changed radically over the last 20 years or so until it has become more or less meaningless. For example, I'm aware that people often describe me as a racist, and I'm a little cautious about either accepting or denying this description, at least until I know what the person actually means by the word. I was involved in a long and pointless exchange on the video I released first this morning when a person in the comments accused me of being a racist but would not tell me what he meant by the word. Actually, I don't think he knows himself. It has simply become a buzzword among liberals and progressive people in the West. In case this seems like hair splitting, let us see what a racist was 20 years ago. Here's a book about ideas in history, and it was published in 2002. Let me read out to you what racism meant at that time. And we're not going back to the 19th century. We're talking now about this new millennium, 2002, 20 years ago, under the heading racism. We read, "This is usually the belief in the superiority of white Europeans or North Americans over Jews, blacks, or subcontinental Indians and other non-white racial groups." Okay, if somebody is accusing me of subscribing to this notion, of being a racist, in other words, as the expression meant 20 years ago, then I'm able at once to deny this utterly. Does anybody watching this, anybody who has seen previous videos of mine, think that I regard Jews as inferior to white Europeans or North Americans? Does anybody think that I regard Gujaratis from India as being inferior in any way at all to white Europeans? Of course, I do not. So if somebody accuses me of racism by this definition, I can simply laugh at them. The American dictionary Merriam-Webster, though, gives this as one definition of racism: of, relating to, or characterized by the systemic oppression of a racial group to the social, economic, and political advantage of another. For them, this is essentially about power. Racists are people who actively promote the oppression of one racial group over another so that they can maintain control of them in society. I've never done that, so I'm not a racist by that definition either. However, it is sometimes asserted that simply by being white in Britain or America, one enjoys the fruits of this oppression, so-called white privilege. By this reading of the situation, white people are all racists. I wonder if viewers see what I'm driving at here. Unless people are very clear what they mean by the word racist, then they're not really going to be able to talk about it. It's going to be used simply as a meaningless catchphrase. I suspect that many of those viewing this video have at some point or other been either accused of racism or perhaps accused themselves of being racist. Then too there is the idea of scientific racism, which entails the belief that there are certain genetic differences between ethnic groups. Those who subscribe to such views do not think that we should display hostility towards or hatred of those belonging to different ethnicities, but feel that it is foolish to ignore such realities. Those people too are often called racists. I don't think there's any real chance of getting people to think seriously about this idea and start asking themselves what they really mean when they describe somebody as racist. It has become one of those words used merely as a shorthand abbreviation, which really signifies a bad person who doesn't agree with modern ideas. This is a pity because it means that we shall have to find a new word to describe those of us who see genuine and inherent differences in various ethnic groups and feel that these might affect behaviour. There's certainly no question of hatred, though, merely a curiosity about knowing what, if anything, might be done about this, should it prove really to be the case.